Hey buns, well, patch 5.5 is here at last, and while we actually have part 2 of the patch still to come, that's coming in late May, there's still quite a lot to sink your teeth into now, so I wanted to do a first impressions video talking about all that I've seen and done so far, what stood out to me the most, what I've loved, what I haven't loved. So let's get to it. The first part of this video will be spoiler free as possible. I might show some footage from the new NieR Raid, but all the story spoilers, all the spoilery stuff, I'm gonna put in the second part of this video. I will warn you about that. I'll be waving and flailing around with my arms so you know when the time is, that if you're not caught up, it's safe to skedaddle. I'm kind of surprised that I'm saying this, but probably the shining star of the patch for me was the new 4K UI assets being added to the game. Like, I knew they were coming, but I was like, oh, that's gonna be nice, that's gonna be cool. I didn't realize how big of a deal this was gonna be for me, because I can finally appreciate looking at all the gorgeous art that's painted for every single item, every bread, every leaf, every pants. If you haven't yet turned on the high resolution assets and your setup supports it, I strongly recommend that you do it, because it has vastly improved my experience of playing Final Fantasy 14. The glamour added in this patch has of course been a blessing. I love the Frontier dress, though it's in about 4 to 5 million gil on my server. You could get it crafted. That would be cheaper if you could just get the most expensive material needed. That's the Frontier cloth, which drops from Zonyerskin treasure map dungeons. So now would be a pretty good time to run those treasure map dungeons if you want to make a little more gil. Another glamour that was added I really like is from the Skyrise celebration. It's the Peace Lovers outfit, which will make you look like the person to ask about finding grade 3 Skybuilders hemp. It's a tooltip though. We were also blessed with wonderful glamours from the new dungeon. It is actually one of those rare times when everybody's happy. Like, everybody got a good set. Aiming, fending, maiming, the only problem that I have now is that I have to collect all of these sets, and I have very limited glamour dresser slots remaining. Even as a Viera, when I was like able to delete almost all of my hats, freeing up a lot of space. What about people who can wear hats? What about Endwalker? What are we gonna do then? We need more slots. I do have more to say about the dungeon, but that's going to be in the spoilery section. As for the new NieR Raid, the tower at Paradigm's Breach, before I get my own thoughts on that, I have to warn you that people who have photosensitivity issues or epilepsy are reporting major problems with all the flashing lights that are in that raid. So if anyone from Square Enix is watching this, please get in touch with the relevant people to let them know this needs to be fixed. Either the flashing lights need to be adjusted, or new accessibility settings need to be added. Really, these kinds of checks should have been present in your standard QA process. So please fix it and be mindful of that in your design of future content. I think that in terms of difficulty, it's in a really good spot. Like, my group wiped when it felt like we deserved to wipe, and I couldn't say that from my experience in Puppet's Bunker. It was a thing, which was a thing that actually really turned me off about Puppet's Bunker. So this felt like an improvement in that way. I had been hoping that they would add some sort of a hacking reference to the raid, and they actually built it into one of the fights, which was super cool. The final fight has this transparent floor that you need to look through to see something coming up from the bottom. That was so neat. Like, I've never imagined anything like that in an MMO, and so that was really creative and really inspired, I felt. Oh, and also there's a train that appears, and then there's the cityscape around you. Like, when that happened, I think that was probably, to me, the most NieR that these raids have ever felt. Like, for a moment, it felt like I had been transported outside of Final Fantasy XIV into this weird simulacrum of the real world, and like, where are we? It was very surreal. I loved it, and my hat goes off to the battle design team for their work on this raid. It is everything that I'd hoped it to be. I've heard some people complain about the lack of variety in the NieR Raid glamours, but as you can see in this picture posted on Reddit by Tlebin, thank you for doing that, by the way, there's not 3, but in fact 7 different variations. So you can play a game of spot the difference here. In all fairness, the Devola, Popola, Glams should only be slightly different in this particular way. That one is totally fine. They get a pass because that's how they were meant to be. Though I will talk more about my thoughts on NieR in the spoiler section later. As for the new trial, Diamond Weapon, so far I have not yet had a chance to do it on Extreme, but I did it on normal mode one time, and it was really fun. Like, I had so much fun. It actually reminded me of the Ice Crown Citadel gunship battle from back in Wrath of the Lich King. Like, some of y'all know what I'm talking about. But I didn't have to worry about forgetting my rocket shirt because there's little teleporters on the ground that zip you over to the other side. And I thought it was really cool. So I can't wait to see what the Extreme version has in store for me. I did unlock the new custom deliveries client, which was actually really cute and satisfying story so far. I'm looking forward to progressing through that story. I haven't tried Unreal Leviathan. And I mean, in all seriousness, I don't care about it. Like, I don't care about it. When I get Leviathan and Trial Roulette, I'm like, oh, here we go. So I'm not going to lie to you about that. I'm just not interested that much. I'll probably try it at some point, and maybe it's going to be awesome. It's going to change my mind. There was a new Anteater minion added in exchange for faux leaves this time around. But I guess I just ain't that interested. So with all of that said, let's get into the spoiler section. I will now talk about all the spoilers. So if you are not caught up and you have to leave here, that's okay. Thank you so much for watching and have a fantastic day. So I did record myself doing the main story quest, but I really just didn't have enough interesting footage of my reactions to make a dedicated reaction video like I tend to do for story. Maybe when the second half of the patch comes out, maybe then I could collect all of the clips and put them together, but as of right now, I did not feel that was necessary. It was not a whole lot of story, in all honesty. The highlights of the story for me, however, do include Estinian confusing Alizé for Alphino, and he like puts her head, pats her head, and like she's like she's about to explode. She's so pissed. I love that. Perfect way for them to meet. Freeing Tiamat that was probably the moment for me when I thought to myself, it's going to be really cool to have Estinian's perspective in the story going forward, because he had this moment right before we talked to Tiamat where he talked about how Nidhogg is part of him, and now he has to look after Tiamat as if she were his own sister. And then when we talked to Tiamat, he's like, what do you intend to do about the crimes committed against your children? And like, I sense Nidhogg's spirit there, but like in a redeemed way somewhat. I loved all that, and it made me wonder if we will actually be visiting at Marasidia in the near future, or whatever is left of it. Another big highlight of the main story for me was seeing the inside of the tower. Like, that is similar to what we've seen in the CGI trailer. Like, it was so creepy, and all the Amalja are like I loved that, and it really felt like they were not afraid to go all out on the horror and the creepiness, which is very much a part of Endwalker's aesthetic. Estinian's voice actor sounded a bit different. Like, maybe I just never paid attention to Estinian's voice actor before, but I really enjoyed his voice acting. He sounded kind of like Geralt of Rivia.
Dreams worth fighting for don't die so easily.
I hate portals. That does not sound like Geralt. In going through the dungeon and seeing all the Alliance leaders like fighting with you, that was fantastic. I loved that. However, I would say that the final boss, Lunar Bahamut, was kind of lame. I mean, look, they had built up this Lunar Bahamut in the last patch. He's like flying overhead, and you're like, what is that? That's Bahamut. It's a calamity again. And then Lunar Bahamut ends up being literally just a dungeon boss. That's like, maybe it would have been better if we just brought down the health a lot, and then Tiamat swoops in and like blows the fire at him. Like, maybe that would have been better, but sometimes game mechanics get in the way of story. Like, the game mechanic is that it's a dungeon boss, but it feels, because of that game mechanic, not very strong. I don't know what they could have done to make that feel more compelling. Overall, mechanically, I thought the dungeon was less interesting than Matoya's Relict, but honestly, Matoya's Relict is kind of a tough act to follow. Krile has gone off to Sharlayan, and that has made me wonder, will Sharlayan be the location of the second major city in Endwalker? That seems incredibly likely at this point. And also, as a side note, I thought it was actually really touching how Estinian defended Alphino against Fordola when he was like, the world has, well, let me try again. The world has enough realists like you and me. It's so bad. I'm so sorry. I will stop doing that. And Alfie was so excited when he agreed to join the Silence, and he was so happy. Like, it was kind of a small thing, but I thought it was incredibly touching. Oh, and also, a patch cannot go by without Graha being painfully adorable. Like, somebody needs to gift this reaction he had to Estinian. I was like, damn, dude. Maybe cool it. Like, chill out, because you're embarrassing yourself. Actually, that is exactly how I acted when I met Koji Fox at FanFest. So I have no room to talk personally. As for NieR's story, okay, so this is probably gonna be a doozy. I feel like maybe I had too high expectations for this story because I played NieR Automata. Now, I didn't expect a story that would like live up to the heights of NieR Automata. That would be ridiculous. But I had hoped for a story that would at least touch on the philosophical heart of what that game presented, which to me was sort of a deconstruction of traditional video game objectives, or at least asking yourself, you know, what is the point of all of this mindless killing that you're often asked to do in video games? As you're killing the machines in NieR Automata, you're constantly being asked the question, what's the point? Why is this happening? But I didn't really feel like I was being asked those questions within the context of these raids. In the first raid, Copied Factory, we hear that the machine's will is not their own, yet the follow-up questions are never asked, like, are they alive or do they imitate life? What's the difference, and does that difference even matter? It's the perfect scenario for you to look at what your character is, your relationship to your character, a being that's in a way sort of like an automaton that imitates life. But we never get even close to that territory. Like, thematically, instead, what I felt we got was a story about guilt and blame for some outside force arriving in Kamra, causing destruction, and that's kind of it. Like, digging into the whole question of what it means to be alive, or what meaning is, like, that doesn't really factor into anything, and I felt a little disappointed by that. There's so many incredible things that are happening in the raids themselves. Like, we have colossal robots, we have the skyline view of a modern city, yet like none of it is ever talked about in the story. Like, there was a huge disconnect there for me. And comparing this raid story to something like Ivalice, where the boss's identities are integral to our understanding of the story, it felt hollow, and not in a good, like, NieR type hollow way, but more in like a tacked on way. And I realize that I'm being incredibly critical here, but I mean, NieR set a really high bar, and I mean, I have to be honest about how I feel. I've been kind of reserving judgment, and I will still reserve my judgment. I mean, a tiny bit longer, even though my mind at this point is, for the most part, made up. But we do have the alternate endings that we're going to have access to every week, which is really cool. And I mean, we'll see. That's really all I can say about that at this point. For the Sorrow of Werlyt quests, what a journey that was. Like, I'm surprised at how great that story ended up being, in spite of Phelan's being very much a mustache-twirling villain. I guess he was written that way deliberately to serve as a foil for Gaius and to demonstrate what the unchecked ambition and the reckless pursuit of power that Garlean society so often celebrated, like what that could lead to if taken to its logical extreme. It made Gaius more sympathetic to us in spite of him being a former enemy. I appreciated that Gaius never once asked for forgiveness. He never tried to downplay his role in the campaign of Garlean oppression that ruined so many people's lives. Like, he owned that. But regardless of what he did, it is impossible not to feel heartbreak for him in this final scene with the diamond weapon where he is forced to lay his son to rest. Oh my god, and Valence really got squished like a bug! leg. Oh my god, it really got squished like a bug. It was squishy, and you could hear the noises. They really did it. It really squished it. They really did it. I can't believe it. I was like, the rating, is this gonna affect the rating? I mean, it was off screen, but you could hear it. Oh my god, it's so disgusting. So gross. Well, that is all that I have to say about the patch so far. I am eagerly anticipating part 2 of the patch coming in late May, and I'm looking forward to trying Diamond Weapon Extreme, among some other things that I didn't quite get to yet. So what have you seen in the patch so far? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you like this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon or on Twitch. You can also support the channel for free by clicking the subscribe button or by sharing this video with your fellow Warriors of Light. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.